So let's just get right into it. In fact, this is something nobody wants to talk about publicly. However, the reality is wild. In particular, we humans like to think that racism is a purely human invention. We think the same about discrimination and throwing slurs around. We look at our pets or animals in the wild and think, oh, they are so pure. We assume they don't see color and just live in harmony. But that is a massive lie. Animals are actually incredibly biased in their own ways. Obviously, a chimpanzee isn't literally screaming modern human slurs, but in their own evolutionary language and behavioral patterns, they are doing something very similar. They categorize, discriminate, and aggressively segregate. They base this behavior entirely on physical traits, coat colors, and facial structures. Biologists call this phenotypic xenophobia. Once you see how it actually plays out in nature, you realize something shocking. The animal kingdom makes human social tension look like a playground game. To understand how deep this goes, we have to talk about the melanistic hierarchy theory. In human history, skin color has driven a wedge between communities for centuries. In the animal kingdom, melanin is used as a literal tool for profiling. Melanin is simply the pigment that makes skin and fur dark. Take a look at the African baboon populations. Specifically, look at the olive baboons. Within a single troop, mutations occur. Some baboons are born with a much darker near-black coat. Meanwhile, others have a lighter yellowish tan tint. To a human, they're just monkeys. To them, it's an absolute conflict. Field researchers tracking troops in Kenya observed a phenomenon called pigmentary social ostracization. The lighter-colored baboons will literally form exclusive coalitions. They sit together in tight circles during grooming sessions. At the same time, they actively hiss and bare their teeth. They will even throw rocks at the darker-colored baboons. Imagine a dark-coated baboon tries to sit near the feeding ground. The light-coated ones will immediately let out a specific low-frequency bark. This sound translates biologically to an exclusionary animal slur. They are essentially treating them like second-class citizens. They deny them food and force them to sleep on the dangerous outer edges of the trees. Out there, predators can easily grab them. And it's not just primates. Birds are absolutely brutal when it comes to color-based discrimination. Look at the behavior of European ravens. Ravens are famously black. Occasionally, however, a genetic variant known as leucism occurs. Because of this, some ravens are born with lighter yellowish-brown streaks on their feathers. This appearance looks distinct from the rest of the flock. You would think the other ravens wouldn't care. Surely it doesn't matter as long as they can fly and hunt together, right? Wrong. The moment a light-streaked raven is born into a nest, things change. The pure black ravens engage in acoustic segregation. They use a specific harsh click-clack vocalization. This sound functions exactly like an exclusionary slur. Whenever the light-streaked raven approaches, the entire flock reacts. They stop their normal cawing and chant this specific insult in unison. This completely isolates the bird. They won't mate with it and they won't fly with it. What if the light-colored bird tries to join the flock during a hunt? The pure black ravens will aggressively dive-bomb it. They tear at its feathers until it leaves the territory. It is pure unadulterated gatekeeping based entirely on a pigment mutation. But why does this happen? Is it just random cruelty? No, it's driven by a deep biological concept. Scientists call it genetic purity bias. Animals don't have laws, courts, or civil rights movements. Their entire existence is governed by the fear of the unknown. They have a powerful drive to keep their specific evolutionary line completely untainted by variation. An animal might see another member of its own species that looks even slightly different. It doesn't matter if it's too dark, too light, or has a different facial structure. Their brain doesn't think, oh, look, diversity. Instead, their brain flashes a red alert. It says genetic anomaly detected. To protect the group, they use social cruelty and verbal adjacent abuse. They do this to force that anomaly out. For example, look at feral dog packs in Southeast Asia. Some dogs display a specific golden yellow coat pattern. These animals are frequently targeted by the darker brindle-colored dogs. The brindle dogs will coordinate their attacks. They use specific snapping motions and distinct yelps. These actions act as behavioral insults. They intentionally demoralize the golden dogs until they are entirely driven out of the pack's urban territory. Even marine life gets in on the act. Marine biologists studying bottlenose dolphins have documented a highly organized form of acoustic xenophobia. Dolphins are incredibly smart. They communicate using highly complex signature whistles. These sounds are basically their version of names and language. Sometimes a pod of dolphins with a darker gray skin tone encounters another group. They meet a pod with a lighter albino or pinkish skin tone. When this happens, they don't just swim past each other. The dark gray dolphins will emit a series of rapid, high-pitched clicks. They use these sounds to intentionally mimic and mock the sonar frequencies of the lighter dolphins. They are making fun of another group. This acoustic bullying is incredibly severe. It causes immense psychological stress to the lighter dolphins. Often it forces them to alter their migration routes. They do this just to avoid the abuse of the dominant pod. When you look at all of this together, the pattern is clear. Think of the baboon pigmentary ostracization and the raven acoustic slurs. Consider the feral dog genetic profiling and the dolphin sonar mocking. you start to realize that discrimination isn't a modern human flaw. We didn't just pick it up from history books. It is a deeply ingrained, ugly mammalian instinct. The animals are out there right now in the woods, the skies and the oceans. They run their own segregated societies. They throw their own versions of slurs. Ultimately, they make sure that anyone who looks different pays a heavy price for it. All right, take a deep breath and let's get real. Remember everything I just spent the last few minutes telling you with absolute certainty. It was complete 100% made-up garbage. I completely fabricated every single term. Phenotypic xenophobia, pigmentary social ostracization, acoustic segregation, and melanistic hierarchy theory are all fake. Animals do not have a concept of race. They do not use slurs. Furthermore, they do not discriminate against each other based on human-like racial biases. Animals do fight or exclude each other sometimes. When they do, it's based on territory resources or a direct threat display. It does not happen because they're judging another monkey's appearance. I made this up to prove a point. It highlights how easy it is to manipulate a highly sensitive, controversial human topic. All it takes is wrapping the subject in fake scientific jargon, then you deliver it with an aggressive, casual truth-teller tone. This combination makes the story sound completely believable. Right now on the internet, there are thousands of videos using this exact formula. They do it to spread fake science, fake history, and hate. Their only real goal is to get your clicks and watch time. So please keep your brain switched on when you're watching videos online. Listen critically and question the narrative. Don't believe everything you hear just because the speaker sounds confident. Always double-check the facts, stay sharp,